All right, so here is basically a tour of the template. So this is a 5.5 inch by 11 inch. This is of course in 2D, but that's the overall size of the template. And then the halfway would be 5.5 by 5.5. That'll come up later because, for instance, let's just go ahead and start right here. This particular mark is used for cross-cutting the 11-inch piece if that happens to be desired. I like to do that instead of using an 11-inch template. I actually, after it's all CNC'd, I cut it in half, and then it just makes everything a lot easier to mount and everything else. It's just that during the running of the CNC, it's helpful to run a larger size, the 11-inch size. It's just, one setup, everything gets done all in one. So that's what that's about. Then the spacing, the dimensions here, the 4-inch to 4-inch, that just kind of shows you that there's a space between this green and this green of 4 inches. So that would be various ways of putting this layout, which is the mortise, onto a 4-inch board. Now, if you can go the other way, you've got a 2-inch. So if this, when the template is done, there would be a 1/4-inch piece of MDF that's put into this slot, another one put in here, and now your alignment is in the opposite direction for a 2-inch board, or put it up here, and that's for a 4-inch board. And then you can go the other way. You can't go 2 inches in the other direction because this mortise itself is over 2 inches. It's 2 3/4 inches. So then let's just go around to the right. This green and this one. So this is number 1 of 2. This is number 2 of 2. And these are the guides that would be used for aligning this template to a 2-inch wide piece of wood on the end grain. We'll show you that later on a piece of wood. The green, I start using color coding, and the green on this one, when I go into V-carve, it reminds me that I want to set the tool path on that to be at 0.5. And if we go back to this one here, this is just a mark I want on the surface, that's it. So that one, the purple, is only 0.125 when I get into making the tool path. Then we've got the pencil peep, that's this one right here. It's red, which indicates that it would be full through, so it would be 0.8. And that way, when this template is placed over the top of a board, then we're going to be able to see through that slot to the pencil mark that was made on the board itself. Again, we have red here, and this whole area here, this is 1/2. This is the other half of that. And that's all for shaping the tenon. You can just kind of start to see the shape of the tenon there. Now there is no way on this type of template to just go ahead and router out the entire end grain. And when you think about it, the reason for that is that there needs to be something to hold the template all together. So if I ran the red, for instance, all the way through here, and then all the way through here, there would be nothing to hold all this onto the template. It would just fall right out of the 3/4 inch PVC template. So that's why I come in as far as I can, and then the remainder of that will need to be cut out with a bandsaw or a sliding miter. Now again, I don't use this very often. Instead, I just use my metal tenons and mount them on there instead. And that's what these 5 holes are for, along with some other uses. But basically these are dimple holes. They become pilots for various ways of mounting tenons on the end grain. And then let's just see here. Once again, I've got red, which means that it's full through. And then if you look at the corners, they're radiused on the outside, and those are designed so that the bit, when it's in the guide bushing, the router bit, we'll just kind of follow that nice and smooth. It just goes around and around. You don't have to worry about inside corners, but outside corners like this, that you need to kind of have that curvature. And then so that carries through here, it carries through here, etc. You'll see that elsewhere. These are the 5 dimples, and these would again be, if we're going to do mortises via a Forstener bit, it's just another way to do mortises. A lot of people like doing it that way. The advantage to this whole system is that you can, especially if you're going to do deep mortises, you can use the Forstener bit, and each one of these dimples, these are basically, this is going to be set over the top of the end grain, and then a hinge bit or a metalworker's punch are going to be used to mark those. The template will get removed, and then those then become the way that we're going to put the Forstener bit on the and bore through those. Then you can make much deeper mortises. Then you can actually take this and push it right over the top of that afterwards, and then use a router to just kind of clean up at least the outer portion of it. So there will still be some cleanup inside there. We'll cover that with a conventional chisel, but that's only if you're going to be doing it that way. Again, I don't need to do that because I use the metal tenons and instead I don't have to worry about that. But I wanted the template to be set up so that it could be used for all these different purposes. This one here, this goes, it's one of the 5, but it can also be used for other purposes, like when we're going to run a bolt through something, and we're going to have a recess like a counter bore for the washer and or the head of the bolt. That would just be the center one there, and again, because you have the peep, it helps you align on the other side. This is the second one of the clamp slots for the MDF. Now we're going over to the other side, which would be the router area, and that one, this is where we would be basically using a router. The guide bushing will stay inside this red area here. That's full through the red color, and that'll create, if you use a 1/4 inch bit in a guide bushing that's intended for that type of bit, then it will end up in a 3/4 inch wide by 2 3/4 inch long mortise. The depth of that mortise is all determined by the user based on the number of plunges you take with that 1/4 inch bit. I usually take about an 1/8 inch plunge per, and so if I want to go down 3/8, then it would be 3 passes. Using the stop on the router. This is a dust rim. This is really helpful, and basically what it is this area, and the red area goes full through. That's where the router is going to go. But by using this dust bin, this actually is lower. It's on the bottom of the template, and the dust that's created from here is all going to, not all of it, but it can go off to the side, so it doesn't prevent that bushing from bumping up against the sides of where you need it. Then we've got the let's just see here, router guide, got the dust rim. Okay, then down over here, this slot and this one up here, the spacing is 4 inches, and those allow you to align this and guide, set it up to a 4 inch board. And then this one is 2 inches from here to here. That's the 2 inch guide. So by putting a 1/4 inch MDF in there, you can line that with the width of a 2 inch wide board, and those MDFs that are coming down there, they're ideal for clamping to. You can just take like a Bessie clamp and clamp to those, and that holds the whole template in place while you're routing. Let's see here, going around, what have we got? And then here we've got another peep. It's a round one instead of an oval because there wasn't much space between here, but at least there's a peep in there that'll allow you to see the pencil mark when you're on a 2 inch board. So from here to here is only 2 inches, and you want to mortise that. Well, this allows you to mark that board ahead of time with a pencil mark, and then this allows you to see through. Because it's red, it's full through. This is the same thing, it just is intended for a 4 inch wide board. You've got from here to here is 4 inches, and that pencil peep then is an oval, which basically just gives you a little more room for light to come in and see the pencil mark. So that is the tour of the template, in a digital mode. This template will then be carried over to VCarve, because this is all 2D. And what VCarve will end up doing is create the tool paths, which will tell it where everything, or how deep everything needs to go. Again, that's where the purple, it's going to remind me I want to go 0.125. That's what I need to set manually in VCarve. The red is going to be full through, the green is going to be a 0.5, and then the yellow is going to be 0.375, so it pretty much covers everything. Thanks much.